Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the World Class Championship Wrestling Review Series as we begin the month of May in 1983. Not one of my favorite programs here, but that's more because I'm not a fan of the match style of the main event. We'll get there in a minute, though. We open with uh, Toru Yatsu versus Kamala. Interesting that Kamala, already a few weeks in, is put in a major match. Yatsu, obviously represented by Arman Hussein. Yatsu had been built up for a couple of months before this, including kendo stick to make him extra fierce. Kamala is relatively new, probably a month, maybe a month and a half in at most, and he is the new crown jewel of the management stylings of one General Skandar Akbar. Match is relatively basic in a lot of ways. Basic story is that Arman Hussein distracts Kamala throughout. Kamala always has Yatsu in hand, or at least close at hand, but he continually, at least half a dozen times or so, gets distracted by Hussein, perhaps both being of African descent. They are frustrated with each other or something of the nature. Yatsu brings in his kendo stick. Kamala gets a hold of it, also takes down not only Yatsu with it, but takes down the referee by shoving him away, takes down Arman Hussein, who finally enters the ring to get away from Kamala. It takes all that Friday and Skandar Akbar have to get Kamala back under control, and they don't really seem to do that all that well. They just kind of seem to luck out, as it were. Kamala carried away, but no real finish to the match because Kamala couldn't keep himself under control. We then see the Mongol and an interview with Skandar Akbar from somewhere on Akbar's estates. Akbar says he is not satisfied with what is going on within World Class. He says that no one from there has challenged a member of Devastation Incorporated in terms of the Von Erichs. He makes light of the Von Erichs, also makes fun, without mentioning by name, of the hairstylings of one Iceman King Parsons, because the Mongol has a unique hairstyle, but he believes that he, being Akbar, believes that the Mongol is trying to honor his sacred path, whereas Parsons is just trying to be annoying. We move into a match between Mike Reed and the Mongol, as one would expect in a match such as this. Obviously, managed by Skandar Akbar is the Mongol, but the Mongol gets the lion's share of the offense and goes in that general direction. We see a very basic match, as one would expect from a squash match, and the Mongol takes his advantages in power out on his adversary quite quickly. We're only about 1/3 of the way into the match, or the broadcast, because the main event takes a good bit of a while, and not in a good way. Mongol doesn't do anything more than very basic offense, body slams, elbows, and the like. But then he doesn't need to. Again, mentioned this in an earlier audio show, but the Mongol is known to take a backward step when selling. So, kind of an interesting selling style to the Mongol. Mongol is also not afraid to throw some rather snug shots in there. Mongol does get the victory, gets the victory relatively simply put, and, you know, is to be expected. Then we go to David Manning, who explains the penalty box match. I believe this is the second one we've seen in Texas. I remember one in 1982, but the penalty box match is when anybody gets, into a rule infraction. They are sent in 1 minute intervals, 1 minute the first time, 2 minutes the second time, 3 minutes the third time, etc., into the penalty box. Don't like the match because it breaks down into a very predictable formula. But the Freebirds against Iceman King Parsons Chavo Guerrero and Kerry Von Erich. Interesting three-man combination there. Just trying to get some TV time for combination of newer talent you're trying to get over, and the Freebirds, I suppose. Kerry, of course, not being the mainstay or being the mainstay on the babyface team, but this is about as chaotic as you'd imagine. A lot of action from Chavo Guerrero, specifically with Hayes. So again, week by week, if you're not watching along with me, I would say at the very least watch Michael Hayes in the ring. I think he's criminally underrated in terms of being a guy who can sell, being a guy who can get heat, get fire. Buddy Roberts, more the comedy guy of the trio. I would say that Hayes is the seller, and Gordy is the butt kicker of the trio. And I think these 3-person or more stables only work when everybody in the stable has a defined role and a defined goal. Kerry Von Erich runs wild for a bit, but something as simple as a knee to the midsection cuts him off. That's also another thing I like about Hayes. He always knows where to put his cutoffs for maximum value but minimal body influence. So many guys do crazy moves now in 2020, but a knee can be a cutoff, or a knee to the midsection can be a cutoff. Kerry is always going full bore. You can see he even here probably has some substance issues because his eyes do look glazed upon occasion. Um, Hayes tries to pull his man out of the way. There are several times when Hayes finds himself in the penalty box, cut off of the ring on Parsons by the Freebirds at a midpoint in the match, and it is clear that Parsons learned how to sell from the Von Erichs because he gets decent sympathy. He fights up from underneath, especially well with Michael Hayes, although Parsons finds himself caught in the wrong corner for an extended period of time. Um, Hayes and Parsons looks believable. Gordy and Parsons not so much, although Parsons fires back on him anyway, using headbutts and the like. And then Chavo is in the corner, and the second referee comes in to try and restore some sense of order. Um, the the penalty box is used for Parsons. The Freebirds have the one-man advantage for a while. They obviously even use that advantage to cheat even more than normal. Not that there's a abnormal length of cheating for the Freebirds. The match does break down into complete chaos. Referees lose control of it quite a bit, and we almost see Buddy Roberts get the victory for the Freebirds. That does not, however, take place. Hayes is in the penalty cage for quite a minute, shoves his opponent out or the referee out of the way. The roll through pin that we saw last week is used by Von Erich here for the Von Erichs to get the win. We close the program with the Freebirds and their adversaries still brawling around the ring. So match may be over, but nothing has been settled. We'll be back with more World Class in a little bit.